Moses is one of the most well-known characters in the Old Testament. Moses was chosen to provide salvation to God's people, whereas Abraham is renowned as the father of the faithful, and was the recipient of God's unconditional covenant of kindness. God picked Moses to free the Israelites from Egypt's servitude and guide them to the Promised Land. Moses is also known as the giver of the law and the Old Covenant's mediator. Finally, the Pentateuch, the Bible's foundational writings, is primarily attributed to Moses. Moses' role in the Old Testament is a type and shadow of Jesus' role in the New Testament. As a result, his life is worth looking into. We first meet Moses in the opening chapters of the book of Exodus. In chapter 1, we learn that after the patriarch Joseph rescued his family from the great famine and situated them in the land of Goshen in Egypt, the descendants of Abraham lived in peace for several generations, until there rose to power in Egypt a pharaoh who did not know Joseph. This pharaoh subjugated the Hebrew people and used them as enslaved people for his huge building projects. Because God blessed the Hebrew people with quick growth, the Egyptians began to fear the increasing number of Jews living in their land. As a result, Pharaoh commanded that all male offspring born to Hebrew mothers be destroyed. In Exodus 2, we see Moses' mother attempting to save her child by placing him in a basket and putting it into the Nile. Pharaoh's daughter ultimately discovered the basket, and she adopted him as her own and nurtured him in the Pharaoh's palace. As Moses grew older, he began to understand his people's plight, and when he saw an Egyptian assaulting a Hebrew slave, he intervened and slaughtered the Egyptian. In another episode, Moses tried to intercede in an argument between two Hebrews, but one of the Hebrews rebuked Moses and sarcastically said, "Are you going to kill me like the Egyptian?" Exodus chapter 2 verse 14 is a passage from the book of Exodus. Moses fled to Midian after learning of his illegal behavior, where he once again intervened, this time rescuing Jethro's daughters from bandits. Moses stayed in Midian for almost 40 years. The encounter with God at the burning bush, where God invited Moses to be the savior of his people, was the next key event in Moses' life. Exodus 3. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, "I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up." When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, "Moses, Moses." And Moses said, "Here I am." "Do not come any closer," God said. "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." Then he said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." At this, Moses hid his face, because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, "I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people the Israelites out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" And God said, "I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain." Exodus chapter 4, verses 21 through 23, the New King James Version. "And the Lord said to Moses, When you go back to Egypt, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand, but I will harden his heart, so that he will not let the people go. Then you shall say to Pharaoh, Thus says the Lord, Israel is my son, my firstborn. So I say to you, let my son go that he may serve me. But if you refuse to let him go, indeed I will kill your son, your firstborn." Moses was about to be extinguished by God because of his wrongdoing. The nature of Moses' trespass is not revealed clearly in Exodus chapter 4, verses 24 through 26, but the surrounding circumstances provide significant hints. Pharaoh had been warned by God's messenger that unless he freed Israel, he would lose his firstborn son. God had prepared Moses for this task for 80 years, and now it was time for him to take action. Moses was about to be extinguished by God because of his wrongdoing. Exodus chapter 4, verses 24 through 26, the New King James Version. At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," she said. So the Lord let him alone. At that time she said, "bridegroom of blood," referring to circumcision. The nature of Moses' trespass is not clearly revealed in Exodus chapter 4, verses 24 through 26, but the surrounding circumstances provide vital hints. Moses was to lead his people out of Egypt and set an example for Pharaoh's house, the Egyptian nation, and all the other countries who heard about it. As a result, Moses' personal life had to be in order before commanding the spiritual lives of the Hebrew people. The sacred rite of circumcision, which symbolized the Almighty's covenant with his chosen people, appears to have been overlooked by Moses. This could have been due to his surrogate Midianite tribe's pressure. Zipporah, who obviously found circumcision unpleasant, may have also convinced him not to circumcise his son. This would explain her rage. She believed that by shedding her son's blood, she had spared her husband's life. Moses had disobeyed God's commandment, yet God is now saying to Moses, "I don't just use everyone. I use those who are holy and upright." You and I know that we're not holy and righteous in and of ourselves, and that we are righteous through Christ alone. But that doesn't mean we continue to sin so grace can abound. Moses was going to go back and represent God, yet he had not done what a righteous representative God would do, even with his own children, and so God sought to slay Moses. One of the things that's a point is that God is very severe in his judgments because he's letting people know, "I'm not a God to be trifled with." Therefore, as Moses is going to be the deliverer, he had to work on areas of his life that he was out of step with, because God is holy. This level of judgment is also applied to the Israelites. Joshua, chapter 7, New International Version. But the Israelites were unfaithful in regard to the devoted things. Achan, son of Carmi, the son of Zimri, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, took some of them. So the Lord's anger burned against Israel. Now Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is near Bethaven, to the east of Bethel, and told them, "Go up and spy out the region." So the men went up and spied out Ai. When they returned to Joshua, they said, "Not all the army will have to go up against Ai. Send 200 or 300 men to take it, and do not weary the whole army, for only a few people live there." So about 300 went up, but they were routed by the men of Ai, who killed about 36 of them. They chased the Israelites from the city gate as far as the stone quarries and struck them down on the slopes. At this, the hearts of the people melted in fear and became like water. Then Joshua tore his clothes and fell face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord, remaining there till evening. The elders of Israel did the same, and sprinkled dust on their heads. And Joshua said, "Alas, sovereign Lord, why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us? If only we had been content to stay on the other side of the Jordan. Pardon your servant, Lord. What can I say now that Israel has been routed by its enemies? The Canaanites and the other people of the country will hear about this, and they will surround us and wipe out our name from the earth. What then will you do for your own great name?" The Lord said to Joshua, "Stand up. What are you doing down on your face? Israel has sinned. They have violated my covenant, which I commanded them to keep. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen. They have lied. They have put them with their own possessions. That is why the Israelites cannot stand against their enemies. They turn their backs and run because they have been made liable to destruction. I will not be with you anymore unless you destroy whatever among you is devoted to destruction. Go, consecrate the people. Tell them, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. There are devoted things among you, Israel. You cannot stand against your enemies until you remove them. in the morning present yourselves, tribe by tribe. The tribe the Lord chooses shall come forward, clan by clan. The clan the Lord chooses shall come forward, family by family. And the family the Lord chooses shall come forward, man by man. Whoever is caught with the devoted thing shall be destroyed by fire, along with all that belongs to him. He has violated the covenant of the Lord, and has done an outrageous thing in Israel. Early the next morning, Joshua had Israel come forward by tribes, and Judah was the chosen. The clans of Judah came forward, and the Zerahites were chosen. He had the clan of the Zerahites come forward by families, and Zimri was chosen. Joshua had his family come forward man by man, and Achan, son of Carmi, the son of Zimri, the son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah, was chosen. Then Joshua said to Achan, "My son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, and honor him. Tell me what you have done. Do not hide it from me." Achan replied, "It is true, I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel. This is what I have done. When I saw in the plunder a beautiful robe from Babylonia, 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold weighing 50 shekels, I coveted them and took them. They are hidden in the ground inside my tent, with the silver underneath." So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent, and there it was, hidden in his tent, with the silver underneath. They took the things from the tent, brought them to Joshua and all the Israelites, and spread them out before the Lord. Then Joshua, together with all Israel, took Achan, son of Zerah, the silver, the robe, the gold bar, his sons and daughters, his cattle, donkeys, and sheep, his tent, and all that he had to the valley of Achor. Joshua said, "Why have you brought this trouble on us? The Lord will bring trouble on you today." Then all Israel stoned him, and after they had stoned the rest, they burned them. God shows us that he is not going to use an unrighteous people to judge other people. Moses was unfit to serve as a spiritual leader because of his unresolved sin, and the problem had to be remedied before he could carry out his task properly. As soon as Zipporah completed the task, the Lord let him go. In short, God was planning to slay Moses since he was supposed to teach the Israelites God's law, but he was breaking it himself.